This week on the Dirthead Shed, I'm working on Mom's spaghetti, getting it ready for UA, but I can't focus. I have to keep working on Butter Jeep as well. We get a ton of work done on this thing. It's a pretty good week. I've been cruising some dirt roads in Mom's spaghetti, my 91 Ford F350 pickup rock crawler adventure machine. And it's like 3 weeks until Unreal Adventure 2025. I'm gonna be taking Mas Grande on the trip, so I've got a ton of work to do on it. But I'm also taking this truck. Well, I'm loaning this truck to my buddies Sam and Keith. They're gonna take this on the trip, and it's my duty to get this thing sort of prepped and ready to go. It's been a little while since this truck's been on the show. It's my 91 F350. It's got a 1980 front clip on it, so it looks a little older than it is. It's got a fuel-injected 351 in it, 14 bolt out of a Chevy in the rear, high pinion Kingpin 60, which this truck would have come with. Some dope interior that I did last year, these PRP seats and metal flake steering wheel. Tuffy center console. It's got a ZF5 5-speed transmission. It's got a Magnum doubler in it from Off-Road Design, and then it's got an NP205 with twin sticks. So, all in all, this truck is probably my favorite build that I own. It's really cool. It's got a lot of cool work done to it. The like step side bed and all trail bed stuff is really fun. But it's still just an old truck, right? It's time to do some of the maintenance, make sure this thing's kind of ready to go. Unreal Adventure is usually over 1,000 miles on the road and a whole bunch of hardcore four-wheeling and rock crawling in between. So this thing's got to be ready to camp out of. It's got to be ready for road days. It's got to be ready for off-road days. And since my friends Sam and Keith are flying out to pick it up, I've even got to get like toolboxes sorted out and sort of make this thing just ready to fly in, hand the keys over, and take it on a rad trip. Let's get it back into the shop. I was out here running some errands and taking care of the registration on it this morning, so I figured I'd come out and get some dirt road driving done and start my list of what it needs done. Back in the shop. I don't have much space in here, but we're gonna do our best. All right, I guess the process is gonna be figuring out the list. I need to put it on a piece of cardboard so I can see it and work from there. I know some things I have to do and some things I wanna do, and I have a couple of parts here already and a set of tires that are going on this. So let me get a piece of cardboard out and we'll just sort of start prioritizing things and seeing what's got to happen and what doesn't. All right, I've got lists in about a dozen places. One spot I always put lists is right here on my windshield, just because if I'm driving down the road and something comes up, I can be like, all right. So let's start there. Vibration. That's either driveline or transmission. Oh, steering ram hoses. Then when I was driving, I was thinking of these things. I've got a ground, taillight ground. Ever since I built this thing, it's had the taillights are like always on just a little bit. It's really weird. It's like a ground issue. High idle. That's either going to be the IAC or temp sender. That's, oh, I also need to do an oil change. I know I'm going to swap tires. I know I'm going to swap in a rear drive shaft. Next up, I can go into my notes in my phone, and I've got a ton of stuff on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and transfer all this over, and we will figure out what is going on here soon enough. Wow, lots to do. This year, Milestar is on board for tires. So I've got a set of those Milestar Patagonia XTs for the Mas Grande. And then on this truck, we're gonna put the Patagonia MT02s on it. These are 38, 1350, 17. They're the black label, which is like their sticky or compound tire. And I've got them on these, I don't know which model they are, but these are a Method beadlock that I got a couple of years ago. And I've been swapping tires on and off of them ever since. We're gonna go ahead and jack this up, get these tires swapped out. I think what I'm gonna do is do sort of small projects on this thing and just make sure that I'm going in the right direction. So I'm gonna throw the tires on it, and I believe I have a rear drive shaft for this. I have a drive shaft that showed up from Quigley 4x4 Quigley drive shafts. So I'm gonna swap that in and tires and then test drive this, see if we got rid of any of that vibration at highway speeds or if it got worse. When I build these trucks, I'm usually working for every like little 1/8 of an inch of up travel I can get. So when I go to order shocks and things just to like mix it up, it's really important to not create some new problem. Like right here, I've got maybe a 1/4 inch of clearance at full compression right now between the track bar and the tie rod. These should be 3/4. I try to run the same lug nuts on like all my rigs and use stuff that uses regular sockets and tools. Really not a fan of like the spline drive wheel lug nuts. I painted these wheels a couple years ago just with like a random concoction of colors, and they turned out really good. I like these ones. We'll save them for later. As much as I want to paint these wheels up and do them a bright color, I think this year they're just gonna have to go the original machined finish. These wheels have been on here a handful of times, and I know they clear. I think they poke out like 3/4 of an inch more than the other wheels did, which is fine. That'll keep the doors off the rocks a little bit longer, hopefully. Get these out of the way, and I'll throw the drive shaft in while I got tires off so I can roll around under it easier. I got all the hardware out, and now we can pop this drive shaft out of here. Look at that, that's so weird. Detroit locker, just like almost, I don't know, probably 1/8 of a turn in slot between like coast and engaged. I kind of want to swap this out for an ARB air locker that I've got for this truck, but I'm not sure if I have time to do it. The other thing I've got going on, check this out. Oh gosh. My camera mount broke, so I'm like having to be super careful there. Check this out. No, it's not making the noise so bad right now. Let me put it in gear. The amount of noise in this drivetrain is unbelievable. So, you're going down the road second gear and you just kind of let off the gas and back on the gas, it makes so much racket in here. And I don't know how much is a problem or not. You couple that with that extra little bit of rotation that Detroit gets, and it just sounds like the transmission's coming apart pretty much all the time. That's one of the things on my list. We'll see if we get to it. Let me go drill the flange out so we can bolt this drive shaft in. We'll get this end. 2 bolts going. Let's see if this fourth one will go. I'm always leery, like drilling out a flange like that and then just kind of hoping that my drill bit found center, you know? Luckily this also has a centering like ring to line things up. All right, whew, we're getting it now. Perfect. Perfect, we are in there. There we go, drive shaft's in place, looking good. Let's slam some tires on this thing so I can go drive it. Success! The drive in Mom's Spaghetti yesterday was good. The drive shaft vibration seems to have gone away. I did trade it for a little bit of a tire hop at like 67 miles an hour, which that's sort of expected. Usually a tire balance situation comes in right around 65 to like 75. And this set of wheels, I don't have the cones to be able to balance these things on my machine. So my other wheels and tires that were on it, those ones did get balanced. These ones I can't. But the problem that I was having with the drive shaft vibration that kind of felt like it was tearing things apart, that seems to be fixed for now. I do need to go in here and figure out a couple things, like make sure that I get the right amount of droop now, which I'm gonna probably have to do that once I get the new shocks on it. I ordered shocks from Skyjacker for this yesterday, and once all that's together, I want to droop the suspension out, make sure that rear drive shaft doesn't bind, it doesn't overextend that CV in the back, and then we should be kind of like dialed on suspension for this thing. As far as wheels, tires, shocks go, there isn't a whole lot that needs done. And I guess it's time. What are we doing next? Oh, we're gonna start doing storage stuff next. Basically, I've got this big diamond plate toolbox in the back, and that thing's got to come out because I need to be able to fit a fridge freezer and a set of tools in that space. So I'm gonna go ahead and yoink that out of there. I also got a couple fittings for the butter Jeep, so we will be picking away at that as well. I almost got all the fuel line and brake line stuff done. So a little bit to do in the shop today, but all good. Drive shaft vibration gone, stoked. Where do I start? Let's work on butter Jeep. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm kind of hoping that's how we're gonna keep the vibe up, the energy up, and still make progress on vehicles. Amazon order came through with some more parts from Evil Energy. All right, this is what we're working with here. Kind of a cool situation. I ran this Nycop hardline to the down the frame and to this fuel filter, and then we'll go ahead and slip that nut on there, and then it's got a compression ferrule just like any like hard plumbing situation. There we go. That end goes right onto that and fitting on this fuel filter. Okay, that's all in there. I feel like I probably should order another 1 or 2 of these filter regulator deals with those fittings built into it, because I'm sure somewhere down the line I'm going to need a new one of those and I won't be able to find it. Maybe I'll put that on my list. I got that aluminum toolbox pulled out of here and my spare out, and I ran and picked up my ARB fridge freezer. These are really cool to have in an off-road rig, especially one that you're trying to do a bunch of camping and stuff out of. So the goal is to fit this into the front of the bed And with that big diamond plate storage box it had, it definitely didn't fit. And now it does. That's awesome. That's been one of my goals I've wanted to make on this truck is getting the fridge freezer wired and like usable and make it to where I don't have to haul a cooler around anymore. So the other thing, I was winching the hot rod into the shop the other day and I thought the winch was squealing and making all kinds of noise. And I just went back and listened to the video that I was making of it, and I think it's the alternator belt. So I'm gonna go ahead and test that out. I wanna make sure that this winch doesn't need to go get repaired before this trip. So let me move some of this junk out of the way and we will figure out what's going on with that noise. Watch right here. This is the belt tensioner, and it seems like it's slipping on the alternator. That's a high output alternator for the welder unit that I have. And if you can see the belt getting loose there and then squealing. You can see right when it started squealing, there's a bunch of slack on the bottom side of it. I think I'm figuring it out. I think it is the belt tensioner is either not tight enough or the belt's like just a shade too long. This is good. I've been fighting this problem since 2021, so got to work through all this stuff. Sweet. I just ran to the old Napa and I think I got the parts I need. I got a belt that's about a 1/2 inch shorter. This one should be the ticket and 060910. We'll see. This thing has a GM alternator on it as well as, well, it might not be a GM alternator, but it's got like a different power steering pump and stuff, so the belt is not stock, so you kind of gotta go and actually measure stuff up. And then I picked up a idler with an idler, or a tensioner with a pulley on it. So we should be good. This is, I'm really hoping that between these two items, I'm hoping this isn't too short and we can actually get it on there. And then I'm hoping that this guy gives us a little bit more tension on the belt and maybe it can handle the big amperage alternator a little better. I got the belt on there and it seems good. It's like in place and it seems like I'm on all the right ribs, and the tensioner is kind of where it used to be like at half travel as far as like the little tension indicator. It's at like 3/4 now, so I don't think that 1/2 inch shorter belt is a problem. Let's see if it fires up and doesn't squeal. Come on, thing. Fire in the hole. Yes. It didn't squeal. It didn't squeal. Let's see how this looks if I'm using the winch. So much better. The belt's not flopping around. Yes, I think we fixed the belt squeal and the winch, because the winch wasn't actually a problem. Cool. Yeah. High idle, we'll worry about that later. I'm gonna end up having to buy a bunch of parts for this thing. Before I go in for the night, I wanted to show you this. These are a universal fuel hose. I got these for Butter Jeep. I just got done doing the fuel system in here, and I was trying to use just some basic vinyl tubing. That wasn't gonna work at all. And I needed to get like a 1 inch super tight 90 over to here, and then a same like a 5/8 90, and then over to the tank for the vent. And I found these on Amazon. These were considered it's like a universal multi-bend hose. You get like a 130-degree bend, I think, and then a 45 and a 90, and then like another 45 or something like that. And it actually says right here, fuel line hose, 1-inch ID. And this one here is the same fuel line hose, 5/8" ID. This was really cool. I was stoked to find these, and I think for the 2 hoses, it was about $45, and it will allow me to hook up the stock filler location to that new tank, and it'll be a clean fit and finish. So I'm going to cut those up, install them tonight, get these things on the rig, and one more thing checked off my list. That's pretty rad. Super cool. We got the filler hose and the vent hose like both dialed in and ready to go. I guess it's Thursday now. We're like clicking through the days, which kind of has me worried, but not much I can do about it. I'm waiting on some parts for this thing. I just ordered a radiator off of eBay. I got those shocks coming from Skyjacker. I got some other parts coming from Rock Auto, so I figured I'd just come down here and slam out an oil change on it and kind of crawl around and see what work needs to get done underneath. I'm getting kind of close to feeling like I need to push the old butter Jeep off the lift so that I can put this up there and be a little more efficient. After the oil change, I was filling out my little tag for mileage, and I couldn't hardly read my gauges, so I totally got squirreled. I like pulled the dash apart, pulled the whole gauge cluster apart, cleaned this thing. I actually polished the clear lens on it because I had like overspray and stuff all over it. And yeah, we've got a gauge cluster that you can actually see now. I got to finish putting it together and then blowing this thing off. It's filthy. But yeah, that's the kind of distracted I've been today. Look at that. You can see the speedometer needle from out here now. That's insane. It's Friday morning, and I'm going to mess with the butter Jeep a little bit. Sorry I'm bouncing around so much, but I got a little delivery in the mail yesterday. Fuel filter and a fuel pressure gauge. I don't know that this is going to stay in permanently, but I want to throw it in for at least the initial startup so that we can figure out what that pump is running, because you can adjust in the computer system how much pressure it's making. I'm going to go ahead and start fitting that thing together, and then we'll make a mount and get it put into the old butter Jeep here. Got that NICOP line already up to here, so should be able to mount that filter kind of in this area, get right to the fuel rail, and call the fuel system done. All right, let me make this happen. I got that fuel line made and ran over to the fuel rail, and I'm gonna mount this fuel filter setup, and I think what I'm gonna try and use is one of these. This is a weld-on shock reservoir tab. These are made to like weld onto a roll cage or whatever. And then if you get shocks that have those 2-inch reservoirs, they like fit right on here, and you put a hose clamp around it. And it should work perfect for this fuel filter as well. There's no fuel in any of this yet, so I'm not too worried about welding near it. I'm just welding right to the sheet metal inner fender liner. Smoky. A little bit of undercoating in here, burning off. But you got the bracket welded in there. That's one of those welds I'll go back and look at later and be like, how did I do such a bad job on that? But it's because I was doing it in the car, not taking it out and doing it. I'm going to paint that black, and then we'll go ahead and throw a hose clamp on it, call that thing done, put the washer reservoir back in there, and yeah, kind of good little progress on this thing over the last couple days, even though I'm not supposed to be working on it. It's a few days later. I'm back in the shop. I was messing around with mountain bikes for a few days, and now it's time to mess with trucks and Jeeps. I got a shipment in of Harbor Freight goodies, a whole stackable toolbox system. I'm gonna end up using these in both this truck and in Mas Grande. So since I'm loaning this thing out, I figured I had to get the tools and recovery gear all situated. We'll get back to that in a minute. Right now we're gonna work on the butter Jeep and see if we can fit a radiator in this thing and start figuring out hoses. Here's that new bike I got and tested. This thing is cool. Since the video, I think the video is going to be out before this one, but I switched grips on it and pedals again and kind of getting the look I want. All right, radiator, let's work on that. So this is actually a radiator made for an LS swap in a Jeep YJ. I picked this up from Advanced Adapter. They're the company that make those Atlas transfer cases and bell housing adapters and all kinds of goodies for motor swaps and things like that. So this one, I had to pay up for it, but it should be the right tool for the job. Let me go ahead and blow the dust off of it. We'll tape the cardboard back on it so that I don't damage the fins while we're working with it. Get the truck Jeep down and start bolting it together. Shoot. This thing's gonna be good. I need to get something to sort of prop this thing up so that I can mark my holes and figure out what's what. I think we got all three started on this side. Look at that. Now I can start figuring out hoses and crossover like steam port and radiator cap and all these other things. That's a good feeling right there, a good accomplishment. Check out what I got. I went shopping. I ran to O'Reilly and picked up upper and lower radiator hoses for a 2004 Chevy Silverado with 5.3. I'm hoping that we can chop these things up and make them work in here. They're obviously going to be a little bit long. The top one is going to be kind of long and wide because in the Chevy truck, the radiator was quite a bit wider, so this outlet would have been way over here. But hopefully I can chop and shorten and make work. We'll find out. So I'm going to take this brand new hose, cut it right here. I think this is going to work. That's going to go right there. Oh, I might be able to get rid of that bump altogether. And this is going to go here. That's going to be perfect. Fan's got plenty of clearance. I can just kind of space that out like there, and the hose isn't doing anything weird. I can butt it right up to each other. This is good. Factory hose for the win on the top one. All right, I cut that chunk of tubing. I actually had some 1 3/8" tubing, which is what I needed for the inside of this hose. And I'm gonna go ahead and weld a few bumps on the outside edges of it. And it's kind of like adding one of those lips to it that you would have on the regular hose. But I don't really want to weld all the way around. I don't really need to. And I've got enough engagement here that I'm really just looking for something that'll add a little bit of a ridge here or a little bump here so that the hose clamp can't pull past it and up and over it very easily. So I'm just going to probably do basically four buttons on each edge of this and build it up enough to where we can still get it into the hose easily, but have it to where it'll stop the hose from and the clamp from riding up over the edge. Let's see if I can weld. If this was steel tubing, you can do the same thing. If you're fancy and you got some other tools, you could make a ring that slips over this and clamps tight. Or you could get one of those bead roller deals and roll a bead on it. But I've found that in real life, this works just fine. I'm gonna mark a spot in the middle. That way, when I slip that end And I can make sure they're kind of like even. Look at that. Here we go, it's Monday night. I've been working on this thing. I think we left off with these radiator hoses kind of in place. Got all my clamps on them, built the lower hoses. I ran to Napa and I bought 90-degree heater hoses, so the heater core is actually hooked up properly. We got our steam vent hooked up here, a little bit of brass fitting to rubber hose to 1/4-inch brake hose, and then that's hooked up to the factory steam port line. Oh, check this out. I got the brake booster hooked up to the intake manifold. So we got that going on. All kinds of good stuff. It's busy. I'm about to throw a dipstick tube and dipstick in it, but I'm out of time. I've got to throw the springs on it as well. The tires, I got to get this thing out of the way and off the lift because UA is actually coming up really quick. And I gotta get Mas Grande in here and on the lift. I got a pile of parts that are gonna be going on that. That's gonna be a really cool video, but right now, it's time to button this thing up, push it out of the way. Sorry, Butter Jeep, but you're gonna have to wait till after UA. Thanks for watching the Dirthead Shed. We'll see you guys next week.